Hello, and welcome to Talk to Downtown. My name is Courtney Wood. I'm the Economic Development Director for the Downtown Stockton Alliance, the 501c6 nonprofit property-based business improvement district serving downtown Stockton. This series is intended to connect our business owners, property owners, visitors, and residents with the organizations, people, and resources which impact our community. Today we have special guest Carrie Grover. She is the Executive Director for the Children's Museum of Stockton. I'm really excited to talk to her today. We'll begin by having Carrie share a little bit about herself and how she came to work at the Children's Museum. Then I will go ahead and outline a list of questions that I have for her. And at the end, we will open it up for viewer questions. So if you do have a question, please type it in as a comment and we will get to it towards the end of the live. So with that, I want to say hello, Carrie. Thank you so much for being our guest today. I'm excited to chat with you. Please tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and how you came to work at the museum.
Hi, Courtney. Thanks so much for having me. My name is Carrie Grover. I began my job as the executive director in May, so I'm just starting out and happy to be a part of Stockton. I have a background in nonprofit executive director leadership, came from a food bank in Tracy, ended up at the museum because I applied for the job and it sounded fun. So I was ready for a little bit of a change professionally in terms of just the stress of working at a food bank and wanting to really focus my efforts on education and children. And the Children's Museum seemed like a perfect fit. So,
Awesome. Well, welcome. Welcome to downtown. Welcome to the museum. And can you tell us a little bit now about the history of the Children's Museum and the mission of the museum?
absolutely. So, this was something I didn't know before I came on board, but the Children's Museum was actually built in response to a tragedy, a school shooting that happened in the 90s, which back then was really quite unusual. And some children were killed at Cleveland Elementary. And the principal there, she decided that she wanted to honor these kids and provide a safe place for children in the city. And so she stepped up and created the Children's Museum. It was opened in 1993, and it has been there ever since, not only as a memorial to those children, but as a landmark of Stockton and a fun destination for a lot of Northern California.
Thanks for sharing about the meaningful start to the museum. And so it's been around for quite some time now, and it's grown. At the moment, I believe you have over 40 exhibits. Can you tell us, tell us a little bit about those exhibits? What can people expect when they come to visit the Children's Museum?
Yeah, so the Children's Museum is really hands-on. Our goal is to provide educational and fun activities for kids to learn. We know that learning doesn't just take place in the classroom, but that children really do well when hands-on and exploratory experiences. So we've got things they can climb on, play on, and water tables that they can get wet and explore with. Another goal in the museum is to provide some exposure to different career paths. So we've got fire trucks, police cars, buses from RTD. We've got a newsroom, kind of showing kids here, this is what you could be: a doctor, working in an ambulance, all these, an astronaut. We've got Jose Hernandez experience there with NASA. So not only is it fun to play and explore, but look at what maybe you could do as a career as you get older.
I love that. I love that about the museum. And as I was kind of sharing with Carrie prior to the live, I visited the museum as a child, and it was such a great experience just being able to, pretend that you're a mailman or to kind of practice grocery shopping. It really is a cool experience for kids to try out different potential careers. So I really do love that. Which of the exhibits would you say are the most popular, and which ones are your favorites?
Well, the water table sits right outside my office. There's a door. Nobody knows I'm right behind there, but I can hear all day long kids playing in the water. So that one I know is really popular with my own children when they were little. The fire truck and the police car and ambulance, those were the most popular with my boys. And I see a lot of kids who love playing on those as well. So the whole museum seems to be fun for everybody. I don't know if there's a particular favorite, but anything, every time I see kids there, they seem very happy with all of the exhibits.
Awesome. And there are so many already, but do you have any new exhibits maybe that were added this year or that are going to be added soon?
Yeah, so the Jose Hernandez NASA exhibit that I mentioned was added a few years ago. So that's our newest one. And then right now we actually have a traveling exhibit in our lobby, sponsored by First Five Santa Clara and the San Jose Children's Museum. And it's called Potter the Otter. And it's geared towards helping children make healthy choices. So healthy eating, drinking enough water, exercising, stuff like that. So that's brand new as of last week. And it's a
Wow.
lot of fun.
Exciting. Okay, so new exhibit. Love it. And outside of these wonderful hands-on exhibits, you also have an art studio in the museum. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, our art studio is a place where parents and kids can come in and do a craft, hands-on project. Um, During that Potter the Otter exhibit, we did include some of that exhibit in our art studio. So our art studio offerings are somewhat limited through the end of the year because of that traveling exhibit. But typically, there's a project in there, an art project that we have staff and volunteers that help facilitate in there.
Okay. And I was looking on your website and it says that you do accept donations towards the art studio. What kinds of things are you looking for when it comes to that?
Yeah, so we always need markers, crayons, tissue paper, those green strawberry baskets,
Oh,
toilet paper rolls, newspaper, construction paper. I mean, we prefer stuff in nice condition, not just your old crayons. But yeah, anything like that that you have sitting around and are willing to donate is always helpful to us.
okay, awesome. And we've talked now about some of the things that people can expect once they're inside the museum. Can you tell us where is the museum? What are your regular hours? And tell us a little bit about pricing for tickets, daily tickets.
Yeah, so we're on Weber Avenue, just across the street from the waterfront. We're open Wednesdays through Fridays, 9 to 4, and Saturdays and Sundays from 10 to 5. Um, what was the other half of the question?
Oh, I was hoping you could tell us about the daily ticket pricing. Like, how
Oh,
much
yeah.
does it cost for admission?
It costs $7 per person. One and under is free, but once your child turns one, we do charge.
Awesome, awesome. So, that's a pretty great price, especially if you want to spend the whole day at the museum, letting kids learn, letting them play. It's a great kind of a day out for families and kids. You also have memberships. So, beyond the daily tickets, can you tell us a little bit about a membership to the museum and what does that look like?
Yeah, so if you feel like you'd be dropping in on a frequent basis, a membership is really a cost-effective way to do that. You can buy what we call an individual membership for $60 a year or a general membership for $95 a year. Just the differences with the individual would be one adult and one child, and the general would be four people. So family would, do better on the general. But yeah, it's a really cheap way to use the museum all year round and not have to pay every time you come in.
I love that, especially if you have several children and you're
Yeah.
like, okay, every other Saturday we're going to go to the museum. You guys can play with what's in there.
Yeah.
So you do have a lot of visitors to this museum. Can you tell us a little bit about the breakdown? Like, how many visitors do you get to the Children's Museum in a year?
So pre and post COVID, not during COVID, of course, but it's about 40,000 a year.
Wow,
So it's a lot of people coming and going to the museum.
that's awesome. And can you tell, are they mostly from Stockton or are they from out of town?
There's definitely people from all over, sort of like a 60-mile radius all around Stockton. There is some cell phone data that is collected that shows where everybody comes from, and it's fascinating to look at. We've got people coming from Santa Cruz, from Oakland, of course, Modesto, Tracy, all the surrounding areas. A lot of people from Stockton, of course, but we definitely have a big draw from Contra Costa County, Stanislaus County, San Joaquin County, for sure. Big draw.
I love to hear that, that people are coming from outside of even San Joaquin to check
Mhm.
out this museum. What do you think makes the museum such a draw for people from that distance?
Well, I think it's unique. I can say, living in Tracy, that there's nothing like this children's museum in Tracy. It's really geared towards, 10 and under, which you can't always find stuff like that, especially at the price point that we offer.
Yeah.
If you're going over to the Exploratorium, you're going to pay, I don't even know, $25 a head, something like that. So it's, I think, closer to a lot of families in the Central Valley, which is nice instead of having to go to the Bay Area. The price point's good. And then it's just a fun place. So I think that encourages people to come, and their kids like it, which if your kids like it, you're going to go do it, right?
An affordable place to have fun. I love it.
Yeah.
Great reasons. And so outside of your daily, a daily visit from a family, you also are a field trip destination. Can you tell us, a little bit about how a teacher might be able to sign up to have their class come for a field trip? And how many field trips do you accommodate usually during a year?
Oh yeah, we love the field trips. It's so fun. The kids come in, they're so excited. During the school year, we have several a week for sure. We have a form on our website that teachers can go download and submit. I'm hoping to get that digitized so it's easier to just do online soon. But yeah, I believe last year we had almost 4,000 kids come on field trips
Wow.
to the museum. It is geared for preschool to third grade, and it's just a lot of fun. They have pretty much free reign of the museum for an hour and a half. They can bring lunches out and eat those in the back, play on the playground. I mean, pretty fun.
Right. What's the kind of time length for a field trip usually?
About 90 minutes.
90 minutes. Okay, that's good. That's enough time to check everything out.
Yeah, so we can do a morning and an afternoon, so we can accommodate 2 a day if need be, with that time frame as well.
Love it. So beyond field trips and daily visits, your museum is also available for party rentals or event rentals. Can you tell us a little bit about what that looks like? What's involved in a rental? What's the fee? What's included?
Yeah, unfortunately, since COVID, we haven't really been doing a lot of birthday parties. I hope to get that up and running, but we are available for event rentals. So when that happens, it's when the museum's closed and you have access to the museum. You can set up tables. We have different kinds of fair, like a resource fairs sometimes will come through
Oh,
there.
cool.
In my time, we haven't done it yet, but I could see having, weddings if you wanted to. We have a party room in the back, and you do have, staff there. You can also have them run a program in the art studio if you like with the extra fee. So right now the cost is $525 for 2.5 hours exhibit or full museum rental. And then you can pay above and beyond, but it's for 75 people.
That's a lot of people to accommodate and fit in. So
Yeah.
makes sense. Yeah, it could be
Yeah.
really fun.
Yeah, you can kind of distribute stuff through the museum and people can walk through. It's fun.
Awesome. And speaking of events, can you tell us about Super Saturdays, which are some events that you've been running, and also Literacy Day, which I think is coming up?
Yeah, Literacy Day is our Super Saturday this Saturday. We have a Super Saturday once a month, typically on the second Saturday of every month. And what it is just an event that we provide for museum patrons to kind of add to their experience. It can be a music show, a science show. This one is literacy, so story times. The library is bringing their literacy bus. We have a yoga one coming up where kids can do yoga. Just little extra fun things, educational in nature, but that are fun for the families on a Saturday.
Awesome. Okay. And so it's just during your regular hours then?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So what other events are coming up that you can talk about?
So we have a fundraiser event called the Fall Fiesta happening on Saturday, September 23rd. And that will be Mexican food, margaritas, and churros with dancing and a band to try and fundraise some money for the museum. And tickets will be available are available for purchase on the website for that. We also have a trunk or treat in October that is free, and kids can walk around in the museum and trick or treat in the different exhibits. So that's really
cool.
Yeah, it was really popular. Apparently last year, I think they had, I want to say 2,000 kids come through. I wasn't there, but that's what I heard. So that one's really popular and fun. And we're hoping to do a grand opening for the new Pot of the Otter exhibit in the next couple weeks as well.
Awesome. 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 For the fundraiser, how much are tickets for that?
$75.
Okay. Okay. And you said you're providing, food, and it sounds like a fun event. So,
Yeah.
okay, it's nice to raise money for the museum.
Yeah.
And the trunk or treat, I know that October actually tends to be really busy in downtown Stockton, and I think throughout Stockton in particular for trunk or treat events. So, yes, I would expect it will be very popular again this year. And what day is that event going to be? Can you say it again?
I believe it's Sunday, October 23rd, but I just want to
Perfect.
double check really quick so I don't tell you the wrong thing. Oh,
Yeah,
Sunday is the 22nd. Sunday, October 22nd.
awesome. Okay. Good. So people can put it on their calendars. If they have kids, bring them out. Bring them out. Okay. So is there anything that you think people might be surprised to know about the Children's Museum of Stockton?
Yeah, I think people might be surprised to know that it is a nonprofit. So even though we do charge admission, the cost of admission does not cover the cost of operating the museum. And so we do have to have fundraisers, and we do really require support from the community, which is great. But people are surprised to know, how expensive our PG&E bill is, and just, the basic things that you have to do to keep a museum up and running. They are not covered by the cost of admission. And we like to keep the cost low so families can come in, but that then means we have to have additional funding coming in as well.
So speaking of funding, how is the museum funded? So part of it, comes from the ticket sales, but how else are you funded?
We're funded through just private donations from individuals
Mhm.
and businesses. And we've, like I said, had some great support there from the community. We also apply for grants, city, county, state grants that allow us to provide programming and different things for the museum there as well. Um, yeah, so it's donations, grants, and then the admissions are basically how we cover our costs.
Thank you. And I know that there are multiple ways that the community can support you and, contribute to the museum. So a couple of them that I saw, it looks like a car donation program. There's the Toy Soldier Brigade. And what other ways, tell us a little bit about what those are and what other ways that the community can donate to the museum, contribute to the museum.
Yeah, so the car donation program, it's just another nonprofit that facilitates a car donation. If you have an old car running or not, they'll come pick it up for free. They'll either salvage or sell it, and any proceeds are then given directly to the Children's Museum. So that's a nice way if you have an old car or whatever to do that. Our Toy Soldier Brigade is really a fun idea as well. We have those toy soldiers on the front of the building. And so that's a donation commitment that individuals or businesses can make where they earn a different rank in our brigade, general, sergeant, whatever, based on how much they're willing to donate to the museum. So we have a lot of supporters that way that have joined as saying, hey, I'm here to help support the museum.
Okay. Yeah. And so what other kind of options do people have if they just want to maybe do like a one-off donation?
Yeah, we accept those currently on PayPal on our website or just a check. Since we are a 501c3, that's a tax donation that people can make if they'd like to contribute. We can also take those in-kind donations, like you said, for the art studio, and then volunteering. So that's another way that people can donate if you don't have the money to donate. Totally get it, and then you want to instead give some time. We can have people come work in the art studio, help in the different exhibits. We have one-time like cleanup projects in our yard. We can think of something to do to help if that's something you'd like to do.
Awesome. So if people are interested in volunteering, or if you have any job openings available, how can they kind of find out more information about those opportunities?
There's a link on our website that has a volunteer application. So you would need to download and fill that out and return it. The job, we don't currently have any job openings, but yeah, volunteering is a great way to get involved. And then if we do have openings that come up, we already know you. So that would be a good way to get involved.
Awesome. Okay. So it sounds like a lot of ways, for the community to help the museum, support the museum. And now I just want to ask, what do you most enjoy about working for the Children's Museum?
Well, I told you I could hear the exhibits from my office, which has been a really fun thing. I love most hearing parents and children interacting in really positive ways. So I'll hear, a mom or a dad or grandma, grandpa, brother, sister, they're with a younger child and they're really investigating what happens if we do this, how about we try this, or come listen to this. And so that engagement on a family level is really rewarding, just seeing that parents aren't just showing up and sitting on their cell phones while the kids play, but they're there engaging. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with that for a minute if you need a break, but they're really engaging with their kids. They're playing with their kids. They're learning together. And so seeing that, building those relationships of family members, I think is really important and fun for me to see. It's also really fun to see kids who are just so excited to be there, running in, and just those gleeful eyes when they see the museum. That's been really fun too.
It is. It can be such like an overwhelming fun experience, as a small child and you're looking around and you see like, oh wow, there's a fire truck, or
Yeah.
wow, this looks like a space station. It's so cool. Okay. So in your new position, what's like the most common question that you're asked, and how would you answer it?
So far, the most common question that I've been asked has been, do you like working at the Children's Museum? And so far I've been said, yes, absolutely. It's so fun. So, and people ask, how did you end up there? Which I kind of explained, but, and I think people also ask too, like, what does an executive director do? I think people don't really know. So I just explained to people that I don't actually run the museum per se. I have an excellent director of operations and staff who take the tickets and run the physical museum, but I'm in charge of, making sure we have the funding, making sure we do this kind of stuff where we, publicize and to the community relations, making sure all that. So, just the nonprofit side of things, making sure we're in compliance with all the state and federal laws, paying all of our taxes, stuff like that. So, but yeah, I say overwhelmingly people just want to know, like, what's it like to be at a children's museum? And I'm like, it's super fun.
You're like, I love it. I get to hear people playing all day long. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
people
so
want to be
cute.
there, which is fun.
Yes. And so in this role, what do you personally want to accomplish? Like, where do you see the Children's Museum in, 1 year, 2 years from now? Like, what are your goals for the museum?
So I have a lot of exciting ideas that I would love to see. One that's on the forefront of my mind right now is we'd love to revamp our website. And like I mentioned, have some more online capabilities in terms of ticket scheduling, event and field trip scheduling, all of that kind of seamlessly happening online. So that's going to hopefully be taking place in the next year. Another big area, I'd love to see our playground currently has some empty spots and an unused garden spot. I would love to fundraise and turn it into an ADA compliant and inclusive playground so that kids of all abilities and skills are able to still come play in our playground. Would love to add an ADA wheelchair ramp back there, and really just utilize that outdoor space because it's a great space, but it's not as well utilized and not as inclusive as I would like to see it. So that's a big goal of mine, to really revitalize our outside space and make it more useful for kids of all skills and abilities.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. And we talked about how the community can donate to the museum, but the museum also gives back to the community. So, can you tell us a little bit about the donation requests that the museum can fulfill for certain organizations, and also how someone might sign up to put in that donation request?
Yeah, this is something I ran into actually in my role as the director of the food bank. When we would hold charity auction events, we would contact the Children's Museum and they would send 4 tickets and we would be able to raffle those off. So in
Awesome.
that way, the Children's Museum is helping other nonprofits by giving away these tickets. So any other nonprofit can apply for that same thing. They can ask for free tickets, and then you can use those to fundraise for your own nonprofit. So that's a nice thing that we do to help other nonprofits. And we also are available, depending on staff and scheduling, to participate in community events.
Yes.
So if you have like a resource fair or a community event, we can have a booth there with activities. We did one recently at it was like a childcare festival kind of thing where the kids just come by and do a fun project with us. I believe last year we were at a total of 35 or 36 different events throughout the city. So just
Awesome.
that visibility and helping other people with their events, were available for that as well. And there's information about that on the website on how to get either the free tickets or have us involved in your event. And it does. I was just looking at the website, and it does mention our museum bus as one of those options. The museum bus has died, so
Okay.
that is not currently available. If we are able to drum up funding for that, we'll hopefully revitalize our traveling museum bus, but we'll need to edit our website to make sure that's clear right now.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, the ticket donation is something very, very interesting and awesome, to have as a raffle prize for any event. And having your table at any kind of community event is also great. Spreads the word about the museum. I love that.
Yeah. Trying to help as we can in the community.
And the Children's Museum of Stockton is a gem for downtown Stockton specifically. So I would like to ask you, what do you love about downtown Stockton, and what makes it a great place for the Children's Museum to be?
Well, I love how it's just right off the freeway. It's nice access that way. I love how it's right across from the waterfront. That's a unique feature of Stockton that I think people maybe don't appreciate as much, that really beautiful waterfront there. And we're right there by the school district, and the city offices are going in right there as well. Just a really nice location in terms of, and the thing that's nice too is, even though we are downtown, we have a great parking lot, so there's
Yes.
no parking issues when you're coming to visit. I know whenever you're going somewhere, you're like, where are we going to park? But the museum, that's not really ever a problem, so that's nice. Yeah, like I said, I live in Tracy. Stockton's all still a little bit new to me, but I just feel like that particular location right across from the waterfront is just a really nice spot. I've got a lot of nice neighbors there. The Chambers across the way, and Visit Stockton's just down the street. So we really are in a great spot there.
That's true. It's, we've had a lot of kind of changes happen in that area, and it's really got a lot of nice businesses and attractions kind of coming its way.
Yeah.
So if you can share with us, what is your favorite downtown Stockton lunch spot?
So far, it's been Nena's across the street from me, so I can just walk across there. Great Mexican food and a great view there on the water.
Awesome. Love Nanas. All
Yes.
right. Thank you. So I just have a couple more questions before we're opening it up to see if there are any viewer questions. So just as a reminder, if you're watching and you have a question for Carrie about the Children's Museum, go ahead and type it in as a comment, and we'll, make sure to get to your question. But my last two questions. So what do you think makes the Children's Museum such a special place for families?
Well, I think what makes it special is how it started, of course. Just the fact that it was built as a response to the, children and how much we value kids. And I think it's really special that it's like I said, a place for families to come and be together. It's a unique little spot that I think creates a lot of nostalgia for people. Like you were saying, you'd gone on a field trip there. I had taken my kids there. And so just that feeling of the consistency of this institution having been there a long time, that's fun for families. I will also say that there are members of my board of directors who have been a part of the museum since its inception. And so there's this long running history of community support, individual support of people who genuinely care about downtown Stockton, about the children, and who are really and truly committed to making it a great place for families. And I see that as just so lovely and unique, that people are so committed, not only on an individual and family level, but on that community level. You don't see that all the time anymore. And so just that real love of learning and children and investing in our kids is, I think, what makes it so special.
I love that. Investment, the community investment is kind of part of what makes it such a great,
Yeah,
unique location and nonprofit organization. Love that.
absolutely.
So I want to ask quickly, you have some updates coming to the outside of the building. They're on their way. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what people can expect?
Yeah, we've been the very lucky recipient of some grant funding. We are getting the exterior of the building repainted and the logo repainted. We're also having the gutters repaired. If you've driven by and seen the grass growing out of our gutters, that will soon be fixed. Thank goodness. Not only from an aesthetic point of view, but just from a structural point of view, it's not good for our building. That building and parking lot are 30 years old and, of course, require maintenance. The other thing, we did have some roof repairs done. We're getting our parking lot redone.
Awesome.
Again, 30 years old, and that's about the life of asphalt, about 30 years. So there's a lot of potholes and stuff. We want to make sure it's a really safe place for families to come and park. So we're getting our parking lot. So we're just kind of hoping it'll be refreshed and revitalized. And of course, safety is our number one thing. So, we don't want roofs and gutters and parking lots that would be in any way unsafe. So we're so grateful for that that grant funding to make sure that we can not only look good, but be safe for all the families who are coming to visit us in Stockton.
Awesome. Yeah, you're getting a little bit of a facelift to the building.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks to the business facade program from the DSA and the city of Stockton. So,
Yes.
we're happy to provide that to you.
Yeah, shout out to them both for that.
Yay. So how can people get in touch with you if they want to learn more about the museum or just anything that you've talked about today?
So we have, of course, our website. The best way to stay in touch news-wise is to sign up for our email newsletter. We don't send too many, so we won't spam you too much. But every time we have an event or like our new exhibit, you will get an email about that. You can follow us on social media, on Facebook and Instagram. It's Children's Museum of Stockton. And I personally would love to meet anybody who's out and about at the museum or in the community. My email address is carrie@childrensmuseumstockton.org. So feel free to drop me an email if you have a suggestion or an idea. I'm all ears. Would love to hear from the community members, or even if you just had a great experience at the museum and want to share that with us, I'm more than happy to meet people, talk about it, and get to know people in the community that way.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Thanks, Carrie, for answering all of my questions that I had outlined for you. And now I'll open it up to see if there are any audience questions. Okay, let's look and investigate. Okay. At the moment, I don't see any yet. So I'll give people a chance in case they do have some questions. And I'll say this video, it has been streaming live to Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn, where we are at Downtown Stockton. It has also been streaming live to X, where we are at Downtown STKN. So be sure to like and subscribe, follow us on these platforms if you aren't already. And it looks like we do have a couple of questions here. So, okay, this question is from Songbird Pictures on Instagram. Would the Children's Museum of Stockton be interested in updating the newsroom exhibit and or adding a filmmaking wing? Interesting.
We are so open to any ideas as long as it comes with money. So, we don't have, unfortunately, a huge budget for updating, but if there's anybody who's interested in, sponsoring an exhibit, they want to put their name on it. Yeah, I am all ears. Anything we can do to update and expand, give kids more opportunities, I am willing to hear about it. I can't guarantee that, anything will work out, but yeah, we're all ears for stuff like that. That would be exciting.
Yeah, I love that newsroom exhibit. It would be cool to, give a little bit of an update, but it's an awesome chance for people to, practice for a job kind of like this one, like what we're doing now.
I know. Well, I even had a friend of mine who came up to the museum. So she was an adult and she had never been there. And I was just walking her around and she was like, I love this. She's pretending. She's like, welcome to the evening news. So I think everybody likes to see themselves on camera with a mic. So yeah, any updates that we can make to make it better would be really fun.
Awesome. Okay, so the same person, Songbird Pictures on Instagram, has this question. Are there any discussions about possibly expanding the Children's Museum of Stockton, building expansions or an additional museum, maybe in a different location? What can you share with us about that?
As far as I know, there's not anything currently about an additional location. Again, that would come down to funding and staffing, which is not something we're currently in a position to do. As a 501c3 nonprofit, we really do like to make sure that we are focused on our mission. And right now, that would include, our current location. Expanding, again, open to it for sure. Like I mentioned, the playground, we'd love to expand. We have been in discussions with some different entities in town about, making new exhibits. For example, we have a current exhibit about the Delta, which I think is a really important part educationally and geographically for Stockton. And we do have an opportunity to apply for some grant dollars to expand and make that a little bit better. So we're always on the lookout for that funding and for expanding. The city of Stockton does own our building and land. We lease it from them for $1 a year. So, whatever we can do with the city and with our donors and supporters to expand, we're always trying to make it a really great resource for not only the families, but the whole community.
Awesome. So we didn't talk about it earlier, but maybe now is a good time to share. As far as donor levels, like what's the kind of lowest donor level that someone could kind of enter in as, and what's the highest?
So if you're wanting to just make a $5 a month contribution, absolutely fantastic. I have found in nonprofit work that often those consistent but small donations make the most impact. People think, oh, it's only $5, but if you do it every month, right? In terms of more that Toy Story Brigade, it starts, I believe, at $250 a year, I believe. And then it goes all the way up to $2,500 a year. So you can kind of pick the tier that you're interested in there. But anybody who's interested in donating even a little bit, it can really go a long ways in helping us towards our mission.
Awesome. So yeah, maybe some of these exhibits could happen if, there are a few more kind of donors to the museum. So it looks like there's an easy way to get started, $5 a month, It's
yeah, and you can designate where you want the money to go. So, if you really just want it to go towards general operating expenses, we welcome that. If, you want it to go towards the art room, great. If you really want to contribute to this new inclusive playground we're looking at, we can designate the funds to support something that you're really passionate about and committed to in terms of, how you want your money spent.
Oh, I love that. Like, that's so cool that you can direct it, say, I love this particular exhibit. I really want to, help you guys update it. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So the same person just has a comment for you. They say, thank you for your response. Love the Children's Museum. Awesome. Thank you so much, Songbird Pictures, for asking questions and for making a comment. And it looks like we've got one additional question here, and this is from Sean Chatrath on IG. The question is, what's your favorite exhibit in the Children's Museum? So I know I kind of asked you earlier, but maybe you can share again or kind of share another one that you really enjoy.
Yeah, I'll share another one that I really like that I haven't touched on yet, which is there's an exhibit about agriculture in the Central Valley. And so there's this tractor and a cow, and the kids can climb on and play. And I think that one is super fun because it's so individual to Stockton and to the Central Valley, where we grow all this food for the whole rest of the country. And so I love this idea that we're educating our children about where the food comes from, but again, also a career opportunity for people. So that one's really cute. I love the little tractor. The cow, he moves at very strange intervals. I'm not really sure when he decides to move. We'll be in a board meeting and all of a sudden the cow's moving. I'm not really sure. I haven't figured it out yet. But yeah, that one's a cute exhibit about food and where it comes from, and kind of like the Delta exhibit, it's really specific to our area, which I really like, makes it unique that way.
Yeah, that's so cool. It really highlights the region that the museum is in,
Right.
I love that, makes it a little bit local. Very cool.
Yeah, I do like that a lot too. It feels important, for our community to highlight that, and also just, food is important to everybody. So
Exactly. All right. Thank you, Sean. And now we have a question on Instagram from Larry Sands. He's asking, any cool past exhibits that are no longer in the museum? Do you know of any that maybe had been discontinued to your knowledge? I know you're kind of newer, so it's
yeah,
harder.
I'm the wrong person to ask that. It would need to be somebody who's been there longer than me. But yes, I know some things have come and gone, just in terms of like they've gotten damaged or just really not applicable anymore. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't know a lot of the history. I wish I did. I'm sorry, Larry.
Oh, okay. So, Larry, sounds like we don't have any specific examples, but possibly, do you have anyone that's been on staff for like a really long time that we could maybe steer someone to?
Do. Yeah, my director of operations has been there for 16 years, so she knows the place in and out, and she teaches me everyday things like, that since I'm so new. But yeah, in fact, there are some storage rooms in the back that I've walked in, and there's like an old skeleton and different things. I'm like, okay, yeah, there's some fun things here that have kind of come and gone, and we probably need to clean those out at some point. But yeah, there's definitely been change. There's some stuff that has not changed, of course, which is fun and an opportunity for change there too. So
Sounds good. As far as the director of operations, is there maybe an email we can share just in case?
yeah, it's cms1assistant@gmail.com. So
Awesome.
CMS, the number one, assistant@gmail.com. And she, like I said, she knows the ins and out. And people on my board would know too as well, who've been there a long time. But you can reach her there.
Awesome. So she knows literally about the skeletons.
Literally, yes. Literally skeletons in our closets.
There you go. Love it. Okay. Thank you, Larry, for your question. And okay, at the moment, I don't see any additional questions. Oh, looks like we got one new one just now. So this is from Ria Singh on IG. What's the process of maintaining exhibits, after wear and tear has occurred? Yeah, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So different exhibits, of course, get more wear and tear. The grocery store, we have a lot of products. They're like real empty boxes. And so staff every week, they're bringing in new ones, retaping. At the end of the day, they have to go and collect all of the fake fruits and vegetables that have been taken to different places. But we do have to purchase new items fairly regularly. Unfortunately, children sometimes walk off with things. The veterinary exhibit's a really fun one. There's a bunch of stuffed animals that you can take care of, but those animals sometimes go to a new home. So we do have to buy new ones. And then we have more extensive repairs that take place. For example, the RTD bus exhibit, they recently came in and reupholstered all of the chairs. They are also working with us to add some more sounds and noises to the bus so kids can, make it honk and lights flash and stuff like that. So involving the people who originally did the exhibits sometimes helps. We're even in discussion with the city of Stockton about getting a new police car.
Ooh, cool.
Taking out the old one. So yeah, we do have to do a lot of cleaning of the exhibits, especially post-COVID. We want to make sure that it's a safe and clean place for kids. So that is sort of just an ongoing thing. After we close, the staff cleans everything up, makes sure everything's back in its right spot, stuff gets wiped down. But yeah, we'll buy new Legos for the Lego track, stuff like that, just to keep it so we actually have the stuff to make it fun. So that's a great question. Thanks for asking.
Sounds like there's a lot going into it, daily and then kind of checking in. periodically to see like, ooh, how much does this need an update?
Right. And sometimes we do have to apply for grants if we want stuff that we can't necessarily afford. Like we have these really fun big foam blocks in the lobby, like I don't know, a couple feet. And I know those were purchased a couple years ago with a grant. So, we try to keep things fun and exciting within our budgetary restraints. And kids are tough on things. Anyone who has children know that they will. And that's part of the point, right? We want them to have fun, and no kid destroys stuff on purpose, but we do have to anticipate and plan for that.
A little bit of wear and tear.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much, Ria. Okay. So I don't see any other questions. So at this time, I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much, Carrie, for being willing to be our guest, for answering these questions, for highlighting the Children's Museum, and for the work that you do. It's just awesome. And thank you, viewers, for tuning in. Are there any like closing thoughts that you might want to share, Carrie, before we close the live?
Well, I just want to say thank you for having me. It's so nice to meet you. And again, I'd love to see anybody who's at the museum. My office is kind of back around in a dungeon corner, but if you want to come in and say, hey, can I meet the director? Please don't be shy. I'd love to meet you. I'd love to meet your kids and, hear your comments and feedback about the museum. One thing I wanted to add, I wanted to mention that I think is a great thing that people may not know that the museum, another thing we're working on is really trying to get access for underserved populations to have access to the museum. And so one way that we do that is children from the St. Mary's house around the corner come on field trips for free to the museum. So that is another way that if you're interested in funding families from underserved populations to be able to come to the museum, I think that's a great opportunity as a donor.
Yeah.
So we're trying to get a program off the ground called Museums for All, where lower income families have access to the museum at a lower cost. And that would come from donors who are interested in supporting that. So I would just love to expand the opportunities. Everybody should be able to have access to the museum, even if they can't afford it. And so the more support we get from donors who help us fund these opportunities, the more access everybody can have to the museum. And there's really just no downside to that, in my opinion. So
I love that idea. That's awesome to be able to extend it to everyone. Really amazing. Love to hear it.
And an important thing that I want to say as a nonprofit, like here we are, please come visit us, please purchase tickets. But if you can help other people, then that would be an awesome way to direct your dollars.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And for anyone who has never heard of the Children's Museum of Stockton, you've never been there, I highly suggest that if you have a family, you have kids 10 and under, that you bring them there. It's really a fun experience for the kids. And you'll be able to interact with them while they're, playing and learning. It's really educational and fun experience. So come check out the Children's Museum in downtown Stockton. And thank you so much again for watching, and thank you so much again, Carrie. And with that, I would just like to say, have a great day downtown. Thanks, everybody.